So today I took another approach. Is that what I did is I just tried to make a video for Trevor, who's a customer that ordered from us on the internet. So I was just trying to make a video, but it turns out it was too long. So I texted it to him, but I had to break it up. Anyway, I'm not really sure that approach is the way to go. I'm just trying to figure out how to be more of service. And so I just heard about this idea in a book I was listening to, and I decided to go for it. So yeah, this is the video I made for Trevor. Thanks, Trevor. Hey, Trevor, thank you so much for placing an order on our website. We really appreciate it. I'm just gonna make a little video showing how I would make the Cloud Peak, which is one of the High Mountain Green oolongs that you got. So I'm gonna make it in this Gong Fu style here. So first, basically, I'm just gonna heat the pot. Now there's a lot of different ways to make this tea. This just happens to be one of my favorite ways in terms of enjoying all that the tea has to offer, kind of extracting and getting the most full flavor out of the tea. So after I've heated the pot, just by pouring hot water in and then pouring it out, I'm going to add the tea leaf. This one, I'll just do a visual, but to give you, I'm just gonna like basically weigh it in my hand, but kind of to give you an idea, anywhere from about, in this method, it's gonna depend on your teapot. Now, the size of your pot, smaller pot like this is kind of ideal. A lot of times when I talk about brewing tea or how to make better tea, I talk about scaling down and using a smaller pot. So let's go ahead with the first, what's often called the rinse, or this is the warming and preparing infusion. So I just pour the water in the pot and then very quickly just pour it out. If there's any cloggage, I have this poker ready. Now this, there's open debate as to whether or not to drink this. So again, a lot of times you'll hear things about tea suggesting like how to make it, and it's presented as right and wrong. I would prefer it not be so dogmatic, and we can just say that there's a lot of different ways, but also kind of experimenting on your own is a great way. Like there's nothing wrong with drinking this first infusion here, especially if you know that the tea comes from a clean source and it's a high quality tea. It's really fun to pour the water over the pot. And that acts as a couple functions. One is it evaporates and it's going to cool the pot external, just like it happens when we perspire. It evaporates and it cools us. But the other is it acts as a really good timing mechanism. Like after I do 2 and then say 3 pour overs like so, and then this evaporates, I know that about how much time has passed there. So that's just a really handy way to do that, to do a timing if you don't want to use a timer, or if you don't want to pay attention, if you're not paying attention to, like you're not counting or you're keeping track in your head. So this is now the first steep that we've extracted here. And let's see, in this case, in this first steep, the leaf is expanded and it's not fully expanded, but it's pretty close, and it's fairly fluffy. So it's kind of my ideal, what I'll show you after the third infusion is just like how much room that tea takes up in the pot. That's one of the ways I can judge whether or not, I use the right amount of tea. So I'll go for the second steep here. And even though this is a green oolong, I'm keeping the water at a high temperature. Teas from Taiwan like this, they can definitely stand up to a high temperature. That's the second pour over. Now these are just suggestions. You can brew tea however you want. And I just really like brewing tea like this. I think it's really fun and rewarding. So I'm just doing a little bit quicker steep on that second one there. So between each infusion, if you're using this small clay teapot or if you're scaling down, like I suggest, the really critical aspect in between each infusion for a tea like this is to make sure and remove the pot, the lid here, like so. So you can set that lid aside. That way it's not going to continue to cook in there. And I'm going to check out this first infusion here and see what's going on. It's a nice golden green color. I really enjoy this tea. This is one of my favorite teas that we've recently got. Soft, creamy texture. Fruity and floral. It does have a rich umami. Some people describe this tea as roasty. When I brew it in porcelain, I do taste a little bit more roast. But in the clay, it softens it up. But I'm mostly just tasting the rich kind of umami or fifth flavor there. That is that flavor described being broth. Good. And so when we evaluate the aroma, you can just smell the empty cup. If you don't have an aroma cup on hand, you can just use that method there. So that was 2 infusions that I've done. So I'll probably go for anywhere between, I'll probably do about 6 infusions, but you could definitely go for 8. And maybe more, just depending. With this amount of tea and this amount of water, this tea volume versus water volume, tea to water ratio, you're going to get more steeps. I'm just powering the tea down here so I can get my next steep. But once I that one's got a little bit of crumbs in it, and that's okay. We'll just I'll either drink it down or dump it. But let's go for the third steep here. And then after the third steep, I'll show you how much the leaf has expanded. One, pour it over again. There are so many fun tricks when you're brewing with a clay pot like this. But I don't often, people kind of come to their own decision if they're ready to invest in a clay pot. Because, it is a little bit of an investment. For one, it's we generally use the one pot per style of tea. So this is my High Mountain Green Oolong, or one of the High Mountain Green Oolong pots that I have. Then there's like I have different pots for different styles, right? So move that. Let's check this out. Let's see how much the leaf has expanded, and we can evaluate. Like I used the right amount of tea for what I wanted to do today, but basically it's almost up to the top of the pot here, and it's fluffy. It's not too densely packed, but it's not super light and fluffy. There is some, kind of substantial. I mean, it's sort of, for me, it's sort of that balance between light and fluffy and airy, which is a total fun way to do it too. Like it's that just would mean it's going to be slightly longer brew time. because you're using less leaf, or if it's too much, then it's like very tightly packed in there and you can barely push it down with your with a poker or anything like that. So anyway, but I just wanted to send you this short video thanking you for ordering from our website. I know it's not your first time, but we do really appreciate it. And so this is one of my favorite High Mountain Green oolongs, the Cloud Peak. And so I'm just brewing that. And if you have any questions or if you like the video, yeah, I appreciate your feedback. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.